Introduction. As men cross the age of 60, many begin to believe that their best days in dating and attraction are behind them, but nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, there are certain qualities and behaviors that, when carried into later life, make older men incredibly magnetic to women. Confidence, presence, emotional maturity, and a sense of vitality can spark more attraction than looks or wealth ever could. Unfortunately, most men at this stage of life waste these natural advantages by overlooking what truly matters in dating after 60. This lesson reveals the timeless traits that women simply cannot resist in men over 60 and how embracing them can completely transform your relationships and confidence in ways you never thought possible. 1. Confidence is ageless. Confidence is not bound by the years on a calendar. It is a timeless quality that radiates from within and has the power to transform how we move through every stage of life. Too often, people allow society to convince them that confidence is reserved for the young, as if vitality, beauty, or self-assurance must fade with age. But the truth is, confidence only deepens when nurtured, because it is built upon experience, resilience, and wisdom rather than superficial measures of youth. Every wrinkle carries a story of survival, every scar reflects a lesson learned, and every gray hair symbolizes persistence through life's challenges. Confidence is ageless because it comes from the understanding that your value is not dictated by how others perceive you, but by the strength you carry in your character and the authenticity you project in your presence. A person in their 60s, 70s, or beyond can walk into a room and command more respect than someone decades younger, not because of physical appeal, but because of the self-assurance that only years of living can instill. This kind of confidence is magnetic. It draws people in, inspires admiration, and sets an example of what it means to embrace life fully without apology. It teaches us that self-belief does not expire but instead evolves, becoming more powerful as insecurities fall away and clarity of purpose grows stronger. Whether in relationships, careers, or personal growth, ageless confidence reminds us that it is never too late to reinvent ourselves, chase new dreams, or stand firmly in who we are. It whispers that no matter your age, you deserve love, respect, and fulfillment, and that the courage to claim these things is always within your reach. In a world obsessed with fleeting youth, those who embody timeless confidence shine as proof that true self-assurance is not a stage of life, but a state of mind. 2. Emotional maturity. Emotional maturity is one of the most powerful traits a person can develop, because it shapes not only how we deal with ourselves, but also how we respond to others and life's challenges. At its core, emotional maturity means having the ability to manage your feelings, rather than letting your feelings manage you. It doesn't mean that you stop experiencing emotions like anger, sadness, fear, or joy. These are part of being human. Instead, it means that you've cultivated the discipline and awareness to process those emotions in healthy, balanced ways without being consumed by them. A mature person recognizes that emotions are signals, not dictators. They tell you something about your needs, boundaries, or desires, but they do not have to control your decisions or define your identity. For example, if someone criticizes you, emotional immaturity might push you to lash out defensively, withdraw in self-pity, or seek validation from others. Emotional maturity, however, allows you to pause, reflect, and ask, is there truth in this feedback? How can I learn from it? If it is unfair, how can I respond without giving away my peace? This ability to create space between stimulus and response is what separates maturity from reactivity. Another important aspect of emotional maturity is accountability. Instead of blaming others, making excuses, or avoiding responsibility, a mature individual owns their actions and the consequences that follow. They understand that while they can't always control what happens, they can always control how they respond. This mindset fosters resilience, adaptability, and growth. Emotional maturity also involves empathy, the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and respect their perspective, even when you don't agree. Rather than demanding that others meet your expectations or validate your feelings, you develop the strength to validate yourself and the compassion to understand others. This makes relationships healthier and less draining, because instead of operating from insecurity, you operate from inner stability. Equally vital is the ability to regulate impulses. Many people act on temporary feelings and later regret their decisions, whether it's speaking out of anger, indulging in destructive habits, or quitting when things get hard. Emotional maturity equips you to delay gratification, to resist acting out of frustration, and to think long-term instead of short-term. This not only prevents unnecessary conflict but also builds self-respect, because you learn that your emotions do not control you, you control them. In addition, maturity brings the humility to admit when you're wrong, the wisdom to learn from pain, and the strength to forgive, both yourself and others. It does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending to be unbothered. It means facing them honestly and channeling them productively. Ultimately, emotional maturity is freedom. It frees you from the roller coaster of unchecked emotions, from the need for external validation, and from being enslaved by impulsive reactions. It gives you the power to remain calm in chaos, steady in uncertainty, and compassionate in conflict. When you develop emotional maturity, you don't just improve your own life, you uplift everyone around you, because you become a source of stability, understanding, and strength. It is not something that arrives with age automatically, but something consciously cultivated through self-reflection, discipline, and practice. The more you develop it, the more life begins to feel less like a battle to survive and more like an opportunity to live with wisdom, peace, and purpose. 3. Vitality and energy. Vitality and energy are the invisible forces that drive every aspect of human life, shaping how we think, feel, and act. To live with vitality means to live with presence, enthusiasm, and strength, while energy is the fuel that sustains this state of being. Many people misunderstand vitality as something dependent only on physical health, but in truth, it is a harmonious integration of body, mind, and spirit. When your energy is depleted, even the simplest tasks feel heavy and draining. But when your vitality is strong, you approach challenges with resilience, clarity, and optimism. Vitality does not come from luck or age, but from conscious habits and a disciplined approach to life. It is cultivated through nutrition, movement, rest, emotional balance, and a sense of purpose. Your body, as the vessel, needs proper care through nourishing foods, hydration, and regular exercise that keeps circulation strong and cells oxygenated. Yet physical strength alone is not enough. Mental vitality is equally essential, as an unfocused or negative mind drains more energy than any physical exertion. This is why practices such as meditation, mindful breathing, and positive self-talk are powerful tools for protecting your energy reserves. Likewise, emotional vitality comes from setting boundaries, surrounding yourself with uplifting relationships, and not allowing toxic influences to consume your spirit. Even spiritual vitality or sense of deeper meaning and connection plays a role, because when you have purpose, you tap into an endless supply of inner energy that no amount of fatigue can fully extinguish. True vitality is holistic, a balance where each part of your life supports the other, creating a cycle of renewal instead of depletion. A person who invests in their vitality understands that energy is not something to be wasted recklessly on distractions or negativity, but to be channeled into growth, creativity, and contribution. Vitality means waking up with eagerness, carrying yourself with strength, and living in such a way that your presence uplifts not only yourself but others around you. The key is consistency. You cannot expect vitality if you neglect yourself daily and then search for quick fixes when exhaustion sets in. Instead, through discipline, daily rituals, and self-respect, you build a reservoir of energy that sustains you through challenges and allows you to thrive at every stage of life. In essence, vitality and energy are not luxuries but necessities. They are the foundation of fulfillment, productivity, and joy. Without them, even success feels empty, but with them, life becomes a continuous flow of opportunity and growth. To nurture your vitality is to honor your existence, and to protect your energy is to protect your ability to live fully and purposefully. 4. Strong presence. A strong presence is not about being the loudest person in the room, nor is it about dominating others with force. It is about carrying yourself with a sense of grounded confidence, calm authority, and self-awareness that naturally commands respect. Presence is felt before it is spoken. It is in the way you walk, the way you hold eye contact, the tone of your voice, and the energy you project. People with a strong presence don't need to constantly prove themselves, because their demeanor already communicates inner strength and certainty. This quality is not built overnight. It comes from consistent self-discipline, clarity of values, and emotional control. A person with strong presence knows who they are, what they stand for, and what they will not tolerate. They do not seek approval at every turn, nor are they shaken by criticism, because their worth is not dependent on outside validation. Instead, they remain rooted in their principles, and that stability is magnetic to others. Developing this kind of presence requires mastering body language, standing tall, making deliberate movements rather than fidgeting, speaking with calmness instead of haste. It also requires the ability to listen attentively and make others feel seen, which shows that you value people without being needy for their validation. Presence is as much about restraint as it is about expression. A strong presence does not rush to fill silence, but allows it to work in their favor, creating an aura of confidence and mystery. Ultimately, a strong presence is not about pretending to be someone you are not. It is about aligning your internal state with your external actions, so that people sense consistency, authenticity, and reliability. When you embody this quality, you attract respect without demanding it, influence without manipulation, and admiration without trying too hard. It makes you someone others naturally gravitate toward. Because in a world full of noise and insecurity, the person who carries themselves with quiet strength becomes unforgettable. 5. Wisdom and life experience. Wisdom is not something that simply appears with age. It is a product of reflection, resilience, and the ability to learn from the experiences that shape a person's life. Life experience is the soil from which wisdom grows, and without it, knowledge often remains shallow, theoretical, or untested. A young person may possess intelligence, but it is through trials, failures, triumphs, and the passage of time that raw knowledge is transformed into wisdom. Experience teaches lessons that books cannot fully capture, because life rarely unfolds in neat, predictable patterns. The disappointments we endure, the mistakes we make, and the responsibilities we carry become teachers in their own right. Wisdom is the ability to see beyond the surface of events, to recognize patterns in human behavior, and to anticipate consequences before they arrive. It means choosing patience over impulse, understanding over judgment, and perspective over pride. Life experience gives a person the ability to slow down, to step back, and to discern what truly matters when the noise of the world tempts them toward distraction or rash decisions. A wise individual knows that every difficulty carries within it an opportunity for growth, and that setbacks often prepare the ground for greater strength and clarity. They understand that people are complex, that forgiveness is more powerful than resentment, and that humility often opens doors arrogance can never unlock. Wisdom also lies in knowing the limits of one's control and accepting the inevitability of change, whether in relationships, health, or circumstances. Instead of fighting reality, a wise person learns to adapt, to flow with life rather than resist it. This acceptance is not weakness but strength, for it requires courage to let go of what cannot be changed. Moreover, wisdom is not only personal but also relational. It allows one to guide, mentor, and support others with compassion, offering lessons learned not as commands but as gifts. A person rich in life experience can often see the bigger picture, reminding others not to be consumed by temporary struggles or shallow victories. They understand that true fulfillment does not come from possessions or fleeting pleasures but from integrity, love, contribution, and peace of mind. Wisdom is timeless because it distills the essence of countless experiences into a clarity that cuts through confusion. While youth often seeks to prove itself, wisdom seeks to preserve energy for what truly matters. It values silence as much as words, restraint as much as action, and presence as much as ambition. Ultimately, wisdom and life experience remind us that while we cannot control the length of our lives, we can shape the depth of our character and the legacy we leave behind. It is the difference between simply existing and living with meaning, direction, and grace. 6. Sense of humor. A sense of humor is one of the most valuable qualities a person can develop, because it not only enriches one's own life but also strengthens connections with others. Humor has the unique power to break tension, ease conflict, and create bonds of trust and warmth in ways that few other traits can. At its core, a sense of humor is more than just the ability to tell a joke. It is the mindset of seeing life through a lighter lens, finding amusement even in challenging situations, and using laughter as a tool to cope with stress. In relationships, whether personal or professional, humor often acts as a bridge that makes communication smoother and more enjoyable. A well-timed joke or playful remark can diffuse arguments, reduce awkwardness, and allow people to connect on a human level beyond formality. It reflects confidence, social intelligence, and emotional resilience, showing that one does not take themselves too seriously and can navigate life's ups and downs with grace. Psychologically, humor is deeply tied to well-being. Studies show that people who laugh often tend to experience lower levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. Laughter triggers the release of endorphins, the brain's natural feel-good chemicals, which creates a sense of happiness and relaxation. Also strengthens the immune system and promotes cardiovascular health by improving blood flow and lowering blood pressure. Beyond the individual, humor is contagious. It uplifts not only the one who expresses it but also those around them, creating an atmosphere of positivity and lightheartedness. Importantly, a sense of humor also reflects perspective. It means recognizing that life, with all its trials, is never completely under our control, and instead of being paralyzed by fear or disappointment, we can choose to laugh and move forward. This doesn't mean making light of serious situations, but rather balancing gravity with levity, which is the essence of emotional maturity. In friendships, humor becomes a shared language that strengthens bonds, as inside jokes and shared laughter create memories that last. In leadership, it becomes a tool for inspiration, because people naturally gravitate toward those who can lead with positivity and make work environments less rigid and more human. In romance, humor is often cited as one of the most attractive qualities, because laughter fosters intimacy and makes even ordinary moments feel special. Developing a sense of humor does not require being a comedian. It requires openness, playfulness, and the willingness to not take everything too seriously. By embracing humor, one becomes more approachable, more resilient, and ultimately more joyful in navigating the complexities of life. 7. Avoiding the trap most men unknowingly fall into a trap that keeps them from reaching their full potential, whether in relationships, careers, or personal growth. This trap is the habit of seeking validation and approval from others, instead of cultivating inner strength and self-respect. From a young age, many men are conditioned to believe their worth is measured by how much they provide, how much they impress others, or how well they fit into society's expectations. As a result, they often base their choices on what will please others rather than what aligns with their true values. The trap deepens when men start equating success with external validation, be it through wealth, status, or female approval. That real strength comes from independence of mind. This reliance creates a cycle of frustration, because no matter how much they achieve or give, they remain hungry for recognition that never fully satisfies. To avoid this trap, men must learn to detach their identity from external outcomes and focus on building character, discipline, and purpose. When a man lives with integrity, guided by his principles rather than the fleeting opinions of others, he commands natural respect without begging for it. The shift begins with self-awareness, asking whether daily actions are driven by genuine conviction or by a desire to be liked. It requires courage to walk away from people and situations that exploit this need for validation. True freedom comes when a man stops trying to prove himself and instead focuses on becoming himself. A man who understands this no longer chases approval, because he recognizes that his value is inherent, not dependent on applause. In relationships, this translates into strength, because he sets boundaries and refuses to be manipulated by emotional games. In career, it means pursuing meaningful work rather than chasing titles. And in life, it means finding peace in being grounded, authentic, and unshakable. Avoiding this trap doesn't mean becoming cold or arrogant. It means reclaiming control over your own life and refusing to hand over your self-worth to others. The man who breaks free from this cycle is rare, but he stands out effortlessly because he no longer competes on the shallow field.